This scene here, we're unpacking a little bit more. This is one of my favorite jump scares of all time in any movie.
And donuts. We sell donuts.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Blood and Donuts. I am Tony.
And I'm Chris. What's up, everybody?
Yeah, what's up? Here at the Blood and Donuts podcast, we will start by introducing an overview, facts, and our first impressions. And then we will give you each our donut rating. And then we will head into a discussion, scene by scene, full of spoilers. But don't worry, we'll let you know before we do that. Chris, go ahead and tell them how that donut rating works.
So we rate our movies on a 1 through 13 donut scale. A 1 through 4 is terrible. We are not going to recommend that to you. A 5 through 8 is like a mid-range. It's worth a rent if you have time. It's not terrible, but it's not great. A 9 through 12 is great. Definitely check out a 9 through 12. And Tony, a 13, that's a baker's dozen tier. That's pretty rare. That would be a masterpiece of a horror film, possibly in the discussion for one of the best of all time.
The Ring, a 2002 American psychological supernatural horror film directed by Gore Verbinski. A journalist discovers a cursed videotape that kills the viewer 7 days after viewing it. It's a remake of Hideo Nakata's 1998 film Ring, or Ringu, based on the 1991 novel by Koji Suzuki. I probably butchered those names.
That's quite all right. But Gore Verbinski, huh? That's what his parents named him.
He sound like that. That sounds like a like Beethoven and all those guys. Like that's a Verbinski piece, man. That's his quintet in D minor. I don't know. You could tell I know.
Well, he is responsible for kind of introducing America to some Japanese horror, isn't it? Isn't this one of the first ones that kind of spawned off like The Ring 2, obviously, The Grudge, stuff like that?
Yeah, it brought a whole new flavor of horror movies, I believe, to the United States. When I watched this in 2002, I thought it was like something I'd never seen before, you know?
Yeah.
It was very exciting.
I remember we had all our friends. This was like, I feel like the month we watched this, we watched like Jackass in the theaters, and we watched this in the theaters, and we were like in the front row. Like, what a time to be alive.
Yeah, this was one of those films, let's see, it grossed over $249 million. This is one of those horror films that everyone went to see, you know? It's kind of like we reviewed It. It was like that. Even more people. Like when I say everyone, every single human being on planet Earth went and saw it because it made almost $1 billion. But I guess ticket prices were a little bit cheaper back then, but $250 million worldwide for a horror movie is outstanding. The Ring, that was impressive. Everybody went and saw that. This was everywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy. And this was the highest grossing film before the remake in 2017 came out of It. So it was like this one, and it held the record for, 15 years?
Yeah. That's awesome. It was great.
Yeah.
It was a little bit bluer on this rewatch than I remember. This is a blue movie. I'm not talking about like
really damp,
yeah.
too.
It's like they just put a blue lens on the camera and stuff, but it was blue before everything was blue, you know? Like they have made so many movies with that bluish filter that it's kind of like been, I don't know, I'm kind of over it at this point, but this this might be the bluest film that I've ever seen.
Yeah. You know, this movie's as cold as the Rockies because it's so blue.
Suzuki, who was the author of The Ring, said that the movie Poltergeist always stuck with him, and especially the thought of a ghost coming from a television. I had to add that in there because you have such negative comments about Poltergeist. So anytime I see a positive Poltergeist comment, I'm going to add that to our fact sheet or overview.
It's not that I have negative comments about the movie Poltergeist. It's just that I have negative feelings about the movie Poltergeist. I just don't say them out loud often.
Yes.
But I don't know, man. You know, Poltergeist, it was just too whimsical for me. It was like the music of Gremlins and the horror of, Gremlins. And it was just not really too scary. But anyway, don't roast me in the comments, please. I'm sure there's maybe 5 other people that agree with me.
The issue is you have no nostalgia for Poltergeist whatsoever. You didn't watch it until you were an older adult.
Until I was like 39, yeah. I do have some nostalgia for this movie though, man. This is one of like the first DVDs I've ever owned too.
Yeah.
So this is like back when DVDs and stuff, and they had a really cool Easter egg on the DVD for this.
Yeah.
If you found the hidden Easter egg, it would play the hidden, the tape start to finish, and if you started it, you could not pause or stop it. So you had to sit there and watch the whole thing or unplug your TV.
That's awesome. Fake VHS copies were a part of the marketing of this film. The studio sent out fake VHS copies of this cursed tape to critics and journalists before the film's release. How cool is that?
That is some good marketing. Yeah, that's really cool.
That's Samara with that hair
Yeah.
coming out of the TV. She like the creepy girl with hair. How many times has that been redone since?
Oh, you see it everywhere. I mean, you see references to this movie and stuff today. Even I remember playing video games, and the phone would ring in the video game. You go answer it, and it's like 7 days, and I was like, "Hey, that's from The Ring." It's crazy how much influence that this movie has had. It's quite a lot.
Yeah. A lot of that's attributed to Naomi Watts, who she plays the journalist Rachel Keller in this, and I feel like she shines in this movie. She did an excellent job. This opened up so many doors for her. She kind of carries this movie. Oftentimes, she's the only one on the screen, and if you didn't have a strong actress in that spot, this film wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, she really did. She killed every scene that she was in, and I thought the acting overall was good. But like you said, she just really could hold the audience, hold our attention for the duration of her being on screen, which is most of the time.
I love the urban legend aspect of this. You know,
Every second. I got a better one. Have you heard about this videotape that kills you when you watch it?
it kind of, the movie opens, you got two teenagers kind of talking about like movie TV waves and stuff, and then they talk about this urban legend of a movie that kills you, and how many, like, after 7 days after you watch it. And so like how many times have you been at like a sleepover or you know what I mean, or like camp or something like that, and y'all were talking about urban legends? I mean, everyone's heard of the old lady who put her poodle in the oven or found her poodle in the oven. My wife tells a scary story every time we go camping of they would this person to feel comfort would stick their fingers under the bed, and the dog would lick their fingers or something like that, and then they find on the mirror that humans can lick fingers too, you know, like the urban legends. Man, I love that aspect of it, and this is just a really big urban legend that comes to life in this movie, and I just love that idea.
Yeah, almost like an old school creepy pasta. Like, if someone were to write it up, you would feel like it has those creepy pasta vibes. Like, oh, you didn't watch the tape, did you? Have you heard of the tape?
Did you have you seen the sequel to this? I haven't.
I have not either. Maybe we should though. I mean, I don't know. So, some movies are better left on without a sequel. I wouldn't want a sequel to ruin it. You know, think of Joe Dirt. We didn't need a Joe Dirt 2. You know what I mean? I heard Joe Dirt 2 was so bad that it was just unwatchable. And Joe Dirt 1 was obviously special. So like I wouldn't want it to ruin it.
It's hard to capture the magic of the first one, that's for sure. Very few sequels make it. But you know, in our line of work, horror movies are notorious for pumping out sequels, and a lot of times they do not care. There's no quality control on the end of that, so some of them can be really bad, and then some of them are surprisingly very good. So I don't know.
Yeah.
During the
Well, I'm
recent,
glad that
sorry,
we
go ahead.
haven't seen like the Ring 10. You know what I mean? I'm glad it's not that. I'm glad it's not a whole
Yeah.
multi-timeline crap with,
Yeah.
7 movies.
Yeah, that's true. And I feel like they know that they kind of captured this moment in time with this.
Yeah.
The Ring, again, it was a best-selling book. It was already a good grossing film in Japan, and a lot of people there's camps that are very they're like, no, I don't like the American version. You need to go to the source material and you need to just watch Ringu. That's so much better. I'm whatever.
I would almost rather go back and watch Ringu than take a chance on the Ring 2. You know what I mean?
I would much rather do that as well.
Yeah.
Something I learned during the kind of research for this is there's a term called ninja. Ninja, Nensha. It's a Japanese word. It is the claimed ability to burn images from one's mind onto surfaces such as photography, film.
Huh.
Yeah, it's like
that is
by
like-
psychic means. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever like. I really didn't put a lot of thought into how the tape came about. And we are about to go through a scene by scene discussion of this film.
Yeah, how
This
did it get
tape-
made? It's not
Yeah.
found footage.
Exactly.
She's
So
like, Mom, comb your hair in the mirror. I need to record this.
the ferry scene, that scene where the horse jumps off the ferry, was one of the most complex to shoot, involving a combination of live animals, animatronics, and CGI.
Yeah. And I remember seeing at the end of the movie, only one horse was harmed during the making of this. So it was, I think it was that little guy. So
They got sued for that, didn't they? It was pretty bad. Yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome.
it was awful. No. Do you remember the snake on Friday the 13th?
Yeah, they just killed that. They just hacked
They,
that thing.
they actually killed this guy's snake. Obviously the horse thing was a joke, but
Yeah.
they literally, on our last podcast, we talked about Friday the 13th, and they literally killed a guy's pet snake for the movie.
Yeah,
And
Savini.
the guy didn't know about it.
Savini
It was crazy.
Savini's like, hey, I'm going to talk to my friend. He has a snake. He's going to let us borrow it. And he was nice enough to let them borrow his pet snake. And in that movie, if you remember correctly, they let it go in one of the cabins. And on film, they hack it to pieces. They hack it to
That's
pieces.
nuts, man. PETA would be all over that today.
That was a real snake, guys. They just killed it.
Yeah.
I hate snakes. I literally
Yeah.
in Tennessee, I mean, we have copperheads, we have rattlesnakes. I hate snakes. I really do. I understand that they serve a purpose and all that stuff, but they scare the crap out of me. They literally do. I am like spiders, I feel like I can step on. Like spiders don't bother me as bad, but a snake, I'm like
get out of the way before you step on it.
I'm like Indiana Jones. Why did it have to be snakes?
I don't have any more facts, man. I'll go ahead and jump into my rating.
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. So I would never have thought this movie would be nostalgic for me, because when we watched it, we were just a couple of dumbass high schoolers with our friends, and it was a great horror movie at the time. A younger, more handsome me would probably give this a 13 out of 13 with no questions asked. Present day, I still think it is a great movie with an amazing story, and the tension is great throughout, but the pacing is only good kind of in the beginning. And I understand that the movie has a lot to explain, but I feel like the 2-hour runtime was a bit much, especially with some scenes you could have cut out and maybe made it like an hour 40, hour 35 minutes. I'm going to give this movie, The Ring from 2002, a very nostalgic 12 out of 13 donuts. It is definitely elite, and if you haven't seen it, it is a great horror movie you should go check out.
That's fair. It's a good score.
Thank you.
Here's mine. I have vivid memories of watching The Ring in movie theaters for the first time, 2002. I've never seen anything like it. That girl in the closet, the horse jumping off the ferry, Noah's distorted face, Samara coming out of the well, and the visuals of that VHS tape were so unnerving. Naomi Watts' performance in this is spectacular. She's the driving force of this movie, and without her strong performance, it wouldn't have worked. All these years, what stuck with me were the psychological horror elements long after these credits had rolled. On the rewatch, this movie is 2 hours long, like Chris mentioned, and its pacing can be called into question. It is a slow roll of a film, and so you have to just sit back and take it all in. I'm not bothered by the pacing. There is a blue filter that I talked about earlier in the overview, and it's on top of this film. It was new, and it was eerie, and it was exciting back in 2002. The filters have been kind of beaten to death. They've been kind of abused in cinema in the past 2 decades. So I can see where that will be a little bit off-putting. I'm okay with it because this is one of the first films that I remember being super blue like that. I thought really hard about this one. You might not agree with me, and that's okay. We might not. We might disagree about the legacy of this particular film, but I believe it is in the talks of being in the top 25 horror films of all time because of its legacy and because of what it did to horror cinema in the years to come and the years after, bringing Japanese horror to the forefront. I give this movie a 13 out of 13 donuts.
Ooh.
For The Ring, 2002. Yeah, I had to think about that a lot, but I really do believe that it deserves that.
Nice. I mean, I feel like you've only given a couple movies like this one, The Skinamarink. You really just don't give those out a lot on your 13
I did
donuts.
not give it to. I gave a 4 to Skinamarink. Now, like Skinamarink, it sticks with you too in a different type of way, but it's not.
Does.
Its audience is very slim. The audience
definitely.
who can appreciate Skinamarink. All right, man. Are you ready for the spoils?
I'm ready, man. Let's spoil this thing, Tony.
Let's do it. The story begins with 2 teenage girls discussing the events of the previous weekend, during which one of them, Katie, went to a cabin in the mountains with friends. A supposedly cursed videotape is brought up. Katie's friend Becca says that anyone who watches this video receives a phone call in which a voice says, "You will die in 7 days." Then
7 days.
Then exactly 7 days to the minute after viewing the tape, the viewer dies. Katie reveals that she had watched that video in the cabin exactly 7 days earlier. After a series of unexplainable occurrences, Katie is mysteriously killed. Becca sees this and gets put in a mental hospital.
Yikes. I absolutely love the pacing of this scene. It's like must watch. You can't take your eyes away from it. And I just absolutely love that about it. Like you said, the girls are talking about, what, you've watched this tape? You've seen it? And the girl's like, yeah, I've seen it. And then the phone rings just at the right time. And it's so creepy and unnerving. And it's great.
Yeah. There's even some shots. You remember when she's like opening the refrigerator and she's like the camera's focused in on her, but it's also focused in the back, and so you're sitting there. Is something going to happen in the background? So it's very he does
teases.
Verbinski does a really good job of building the tension here and the teasing. Yeah. You're expecting something to happen. This is The Ring. Mm-hmm. She obviously watched the tape. They're talking about it. First off, the friend is like, "Did y'all have sex?" That was the first thing that she wanted to know. And
as you want to.
Yeah. She's like, "Did y'all do it?" And she was not very forthcoming with that information. But and then like she was kind of like playing around, kind of teasing. I've heard some people talk about how they didn't like that scene because they didn't like the teasing around and stuff. But I thought that was very teenage girl-esque. I thought they wrote that very well for that. And and so obviously Katie was nervous. Katie was scared. She didn't want this to be true. It was a very creepy moment. She knows she watched the tape. She knows that this tape is sinister. There's something wrong with it. She got the phone call that said 7 days, She had that. She knows her time is coming. She's just hoping that it goes away. And so here she is. And here's the night that it's coming calling. And again, like you said, the tension's building fine. You see the water in the floor. She opens up that door and just her face just goes, and then we get title cards. So to me, it's one of the best 7 minutes of a horror film that I've ever seen. Again, there's a good dose of nostalgia with that. It being 2002, us little 16, 17-year-olds in high school.
And you make this point a lot too when the teenagers in the movie talk like we were talking when we were kids. Like that is it really puts you into perspective because you see movies like Friday the 13th. They were pretty much talking like teens were talking, you know, Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah.
Great movie capturing the essence of teenage talk. But then you look and see tarot, and it's like, what were you doing? It totally takes you out of the film if your characters and they're not like acting like their age. You know what I mean?
Yes. I have this big smile on my face because there's a scene in Friday the 13th where Kevin Bacon, do you remember the storms coming in? And he goes, looks like that storm's coming. That's going to be tearing through that mountain like a son of a gun. Do you remember that?
It's gonna storm. You can tear down that valley like a son of a gun.
He says like this, like he has like this Oscar, like he's like trying to win an Oscar. You know, it's Kevin Bacon. This is Friday the 13th, 1980. This is a slasher film for teenagers. And he goes, that storm, it's gonna start tearing through that valley like a son of a gun.
You could tell he left it all out on the field there. He left it all out at the cabin by the lake. Just right there.
Do you remember, you know what I'm talking about though?
I do.
Oh
I
my
do
God. I was just like,
where did that come from, Kevin?
yeah.
Put it away. Save it for Footloose.
Yeah. Save it for, oh man, what's the one where the not critters, but the worms are under the ground? Tremors. Save it for Tremors. That's my favorite Kevin Bacon movie, Tremors.
Is it?
Yeah.
No, I like Stir of Echo. I might put that on our queue.
Ooh, Stir of Echo. Katie's aunt, Rachel, is a journalist living in Seattle with her son, Aiden. Aiden was not only Katie's cousin, but he was also a good friend and seems to be sensitive to psychic occurrences. And also Katie was his babysitter as well. They talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
It opens up. Aiden's teacher brings it to Rachel's attention that he has been drawing pictures of his cousin Katie dead in the ground days before Katie actually even died. At Katie's funeral, Rachel's sister asked her to investigate her daughter's death, and she learns of the videotape.
All right. Real quick on the kid. All right. This kid is very creepy. He's also... After this movie, he kind of hit the skids and ended up in Texas Chainsaw Massacre with the Hewitts.
Yes.
But during this movie, I mean, he's creepy as heck, dude. He's played by David Dorfman. And in 2010, he dropped out of acting. He like retired. And he went to like Harvard Law.
Loser.
And, like graduated.
Dork.
Loser.
What a geek.
Graduating Harvard Law at age 21. Nerd
But
alert. He's an attorney now. So that's crazy.
Imagine being in like two of the most prolific horror films of that little 5-year period. He was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003, huge blockbuster success of a horror film. He was in The Ring 2002, and then going to Harvard and being a lawyer. Dude, just like, does he like mess up?
I guess he doesn't care. He doesn't care about horror anymore. But I know he is responsible for being a very creepy kid in this movie. And this scene here, we're unpacking a little bit more. This is one of my favorite jump scares of all time in any movie when Katie's aunt or Katie's mom is talking about her death. And she's like, you should have seen her face. And then it's just so out of left field. It's like, you're not expecting it. They're not building it up with any music or anything. Yeah. And it's just two people talking, and then it just screeches to a jump scare. And it is effective, and it stayed with me to this day. It's my favorite jump scare of all time.
I saw her face.
That's so good. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Rachel, you figure out these things. You're a journalist. And she's like, I don't know. She goes, I saw her face. I mean, it was so gross. But anyway, like Rachel kind of starts her investigation here at the funeral. She goes outside. Mm-hmm. There's some teenagers smoking cigarettes, and she lights one too. She's like, "What's up? What's up, fellas? What's up,
cool kids?
What's up, yo? This is these cigarettes are the bomb. Diggity. I don't know. But anyway, there's this guy in the corner who knows everything. He's like, it wasn't that killed her. It was the tape. Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows it was the tape.
Everybody knows it was the tape at the cabin number 12. You should go there yourself. You know, like." moving right along, like this is her investigation. But yeah, they kind of find out that there's a tape involved and her
And I don't know
investigation.
if it talks
Oh,
about it, but all of her friends like mysteriously die around the same time,
yes, that's
like
what
a
it
week
is.
later,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. But in like car
Yeah.
wrecks and stuff like that. And so she
Yeah.
goes investigate. She's reading newspapers, stuff like that. And of course, she's a horrible mom, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
She's
Well,
like
I mean,
she's
her kid turned
gone.
out to be a lawyer, but anyway.
She's gone all the time. This dude, like, he's a little kid and he like gets himself dressed. He gets her dressed. He makes her breakfast, I think. Like he like and the teacher's like, this is weird that he does that. And she's like, what? That he's like awesome? Like he does everything for me.
Right.
I don't want to
have do
change
crap.
I don't want to change anything. Let's go, Aiden. And she's like, who's drawing pictures? She's like, yeah, his babysitter just died. Wouldn't you draw pictures too? And she's like, this is from 7 days ago. No, or was she like, this is from 3 days ago? So he has like a little bit of he can see into the future a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
A little bit of psychic stuff.
A little bit of psychic stuff. Rachel's investigation leads her to the same cabin in the mountains where Katie and her friends had watched the tape. There she finds and watches the tape. She also finds an innkeeper who has awesome magic tricks as well.
Just had to put that in there.
Right, sorry. After that, the phone rings and a girl says, 7 days. The next day, she calls Noah, who is Aiden's deadbeat father. To see the video. Noah is sarcastic and skeptical about the link between the videos and the deaths, but Rachel becomes increasingly convinced after pictures taken of her show her face is severely distorted. Noah watches the tape like an idiot and asks her to make a copy for further investigation. Unfortunately, just as Rachel is beginning to truly fear there is something dangerous about this tape, her son watches it too. They are just lackadaisy about
They
this
just
freaking
don't
videotape.
care. Everybody get some popcorn and let's watch this thing. Don't have any control. It's like as soon as they're done watching it, they rewind it and they give it to their friend.
What did we just watch? Probably the most dangerous tape. It's killed several people. Where should we put it? Just lay it on this coffee table.
Yeah.
Lay it on this coffee table for my son to find.
What they probably did is they put like whatever the kid was watching into the tape holder, and so like all the videos get switched around. So the kid was just like trying to watch Cinderella or something, and he like puts it in, and he's like, "What is this crap?"
Do you remember VHS tape? You'd put it. It could be like so. The videotape could be in the VCR, like with the flap closed, or you can hit stop eject, and it could just come out. They probably just did that. Where it was just like where the tip of it's just sticking out a little bit. Like they watched it and then they walked away and she's like, "Are you just that careless?" And then she hit stop eject and just yeah. Aiden comes in there, watches cartoons. There was no cartoons on. He was like, "Let me watch this videotape," and it was like, yeah.
Why would he do that? Stupid.
We've all watched our parents' videotapes that we shouldn't have watched.
All right.
That was was common practice back in the day. VHS tapes were just I never did actually, but you did.
Yeah.
I didn't. No, I'm sure.
Sure.
So like Noah is apparently he's like a videographer and he's worked with Rachel in the past and he's also worked with her in the bedroom as well.
He did. Apparently they made Aiden. And yeah, I do like his character. He's like, hey, this tape doesn't have any whatever serial code that all tapes have. Yeah. So they have no idea how the tape was made. He's like, every tape I've ever seen has this code on it that tells you where it came from. And this particular tape does not.
So that's where that term comes in, ninja. I would like.
Yeah.
If I was SpongeBob, I would do this ninja. Like the word
the rainbow.
Yeah, the rainbow.
I feel like you should probably edit that in.
I'm going to edit that in ninja. I don't know if I'm that good, but yeah. Why isn't Noah around? He just like wouldn't grow up, and she like Rachel's like kind of mad about that.
I guess he picked the chick from NCIS, the quirky girl from NCIS. That's who plays his live-in girlfriend.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I gotta say, I would have picked Rachel over that. But that's just me.
It was almost like they both
Call me
decide
old-fashioned.
they both decided to go separate ways. They don't give a lot of story about how Aiden came about. Was he a love baby?
Yeah.
Did he come did they break up and then she found out she was pregnant after the fact? Whatever. He does
Yeah.
not really parrot Aiden at all. But Aiden and Noah know of each other. And it shows a scene where they're passing in the streets, it's raining, and they just
Yeah.
kind of look up to each other and whatever.
Yeah.
There it is. After viewing the tape, Rachel experiences terrible nightmares, nosebleeds, and curious, surreal situations. One being a fly on a screen that she can pull from the monitor. Rachel's investigation turns to the tape itself, which contains a seemingly random series of disturbing, grainy, black and white images. Investigating those images leads Rachel to Anna Morgan, a woman seen on the tape who lived on Moesco Island or Muesco, I don't know, and her husband and daughter. Rachel discovers that a mysterious tragedy befell them at the Morgan Ranch in which all the horses killed themselves trying to flee the ranch. This presumably caused Anna Morgan to become severely depressed and shortly after taking residence at a mental institution and then ultimately committing suicide.
Yeah. And they do, we're unpacking a lot here, but they put a lot of these kind of scenes that are transitioning from like her traveling and stuff. They're all kind of like montagey, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
It's like they'll show, there's some talking and then it shows like we're not at the ferry yet. That's coming up, but it'll show her looking through newspapers and trying to do stuff on the tape. And it's all this movie's got a lot to say. And there's like 7 or 8 montage scenes.
Yeah. There's quite a bit. Yeah, there's quite a bit of story and backstory, which I love about this. A lot of horror films just like, just like want to jump out, kill you, stuff like that. This wants you to know the backstory and kind of it's a mystery as well,
Yeah.
And so
And I think
you're
that's fair. I mean, it is telling a story. Just some of those drag a little bit, but it does a good job of portraying what they're doing, where they're going, or what they're going to try to do to figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah, and again, I don't know if this was a horror trope before this movie, but it's definitely now because when I see somebody investigating something in the library and doing homework on look at this, back in 1863 someone died in our house, they were hung, you know what I mean? Anytime I see that,
Slides the next reel over.
yes,
Yeah.
I think of The Ring 2002. I know it's been done before, but I think of this because this is like the ultimate investigating horror trope,
Yeah. Like a third of the movie is her doing that.
In that synopsis, it talks about nosebleeds, nightmares, and that fly. But how about that hair or whatever that was stuck in her throat?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, that thing went on forever, didn't it?
That one must have stuck with you, man. Yeah, you mentioned that. Like she's like on the ground coughing and
Yeah.
just
Oh yeah,
gross.
it is
I
gross.
feel like she was like a struggling magician and she just accidentally pulled up hair instead of like the cloth.
Keeps going and going. I think that's gross. I think they used that in The Grudge, didn't they?
Maybe.
Like
It's been a minute since I've seen The Grudge.
Rachel takes a ferry to Moesco Island. She wants to find the Morgan Ranch, but Richard Morgan doesn't want to talk to her about his wife or his daughter. Rachel goes to see the local doctor to ask about the Morgan family. The old doctor tells her that Anna wanted a child more than anything, but was never able to successfully carry a fetus to term. One winter, they left and returned with Samara, whom they adopted. But after some time, Anna started complaining about visions that only happened when Samara was around. So she sent them both to a mental institution on the mainland.
Ooh, yeah. This is a pretty cool couple of scenes. So firstly, the horse scene is my favorite. I think it's hilarious. She's really trying to pet this damn horse. And then the
She can't
horse
get
is
enough
like
of the horse.
kicking out of this. It's kicking out of it, right? And
Yeah.
like it runs away, and at first it's like, okay, it just backs away a little bit. You're like, okay, lady, leave the horse alone.
Yeah.
It's done. Now the horse breaks out and is running away, and she's like chasing it just to pet it. give it a rest. It doesn't want to be pet. And then it jumps over, and I love the blood scene after it jumps in the water and gets
The water gets bloody
chopped up by the
where you
motor.
know it gets
Oh,
hit by
it's
the
so
motor.
good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, gross.
Yeah. And so there's so like she was able, because of Noah's video equipment, she was able to kind of like stretch this video and go and look in the corners,
Yeah,
and
she found like the lighthouse.
yeah, so she found a lighthouse. So you're seeing that over here on this island. You're seeing the lighthouse. You're seeing that tree up on a hill and stuff from this video. I don't think we've talked about that video though. What did you think about that video itself? Like, do you remember seeing that for the first time? That was some creepy stuff, right?
Yeah, it's weird. It showed like what a lady combing her hair in the mirror. It showed a ladder on a wall. It showed a burning tree. Then it showed like people swimming, and then they all turned into like maggots or something crawling around. And then it showed like it looked like something coming across the moon and covering it up where you could just see the ring of it.
Yeah.
But we'll find out what that is here in a little bit. But yeah, very creepy, just kind of unsettling. You're just kind of like, what the hell did I watch?
It also shows that woman combing her hair in a mirror. There's like two mirrors, but it doesn't have a reflection of a video camera. So they're like, you would see a video camera here. This is straight on. And again, ninja. That's how it was created. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, and Anna Morgan's husband wanted nothing to do with her. He was just like, go away. I don't want to deal with any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
And they just kind of, it says they left one winter and then just returned with Samara. So if you're going to adopt everybody, just go through the proper channels. Don't just leave one winter and come back with some long-haired girl in a white gown. Go through the proper channels, get it done properly.
His name was Lucifer. We signed a contract. Everything seemed pretty good. I don't know. I don't get it.
It was fine. And ever since we brought him home, it's been nothing but craziness.
It's been craziness. Oh my God. There's flies everywhere. Rachel and Noah are kind of like, they're doing this together. So this is kind of cool. You're seeing them team up. She's going to the island and Noah's going to the Institute, which we're about to read here in a second. Noah goes to the Institute where Anna Morgan's file is, where she stayed, discovers that a video is missing. Rachel goes back to the Morgan house where she discovers the tapes of Samara conversations with the doctor. Samara timidly explains that she does not intentionally hurt these people around her, but it won't stop. After watching Can't stop, won't stop. After watching the video of Samara's conversations, Rachel is confronted by Richard Morgan, who has taken all the electronics in the house into his bathroom and the bathtub's overflowing with water. He states the girl was evil and then promptly kills himself by lying in the bathtub and turning on the electronics via a switch-controlled extension cord around his neck.
Yeah, and when you said he had some electronics, what it meant to say was he had every electronic in his house
that was available in 2002.
Yeah, he had a Walkman, a Talkboy, a portable CD player, a toaster, a computer. He really went big. And he just wanted to make sure the job was done.
He was not leaving that bathtub alive, for sure.
He didn't want to half-ass it. Yeah.
Maybe in 2002, at this point in this movie, are you thinking that Samara wasn't the bad one and maybe Miss Morgan was?
That's interesting. You probably could up until she finds her confession tapes where she's like in the institute and they're like questioning her.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I don't mean to hurt anyone, but it won't stop. Yeah. So maybe, when you first meet Richard Morgan, and he's like really kind of short with Rachel and doesn't want to talk to her, there you can kind of feel like, damn, did he abuse her or what happened? But then you hear the doctor saying like, whenever they left for the mainland, everything was great around here.
But you're kind of getting this movie is like leaning towards Samara was ill-treated. Like she was put away because of her special abilities. She was put away quietly. Yeah. And it was a vicious thing. But then it kind of like, it turned sinister, and we'll get to it where that kid is like, you did what? And that's when you realize that Samara is not exactly what you think. Noah
She's nothing
arrives at the house just after Richard dies. And together with Rachel, he goes to the barn and he discovers a little room where Samara was kept by her father. What a jerk. Behind that wallpaper, they discover a burned image of a tree that they recognize from that videotape. Rachel remembers seeing it near the cabin at Shelter Mountain Inn. This shows that Samara had the supernatural ability to inadvertently burn images into things around her. Ninja.
What's that called?
Ninja.
Okay.
Rachel and Noah depart the Morgan farm and they arrive at Shelter Mountain Inn. This is that cabin number 12 from the the beginning of the movie. This is where Rachel got the tape. It's where she watched the tape. It's where those kids ultimately stayed the night and watched and discover a well underneath the floor. Rachel is led to where Samara was killed at the bottom of a well. A strike from a falling TV, presumably perpetrated by Samara, results in Rachel falling into the well and finding Samara's rotten, disgusting body in the water.
Yeah, and I like back up at the top of that the part where Noah gets to the house, like right after Richard dies.
Yes.
He like runs into Rachel. He's like, "What'd you do?" Like Tommy Boy, like
What?
like why are all the lights gone? What happened to Richard?
Yeah. And
Like,
she's like,
no, but
I killed him.
yeah, go ahead. You're right.
Another thing that I was thinking about when we were researching this, The Ring, the movie The Ring.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's the ring, that little bit of ring of light at the top of the well. Correct? That's what you
Yeah.
said. But it can also refer to the phone ring that you get as soon as you watch
Oh,
it.
nice.
Dang.
Mind blown. I thought you were gonna say it could also refer to ninja, and I was gonna shut my laptop.
I was like, I'm done.
If you
I'm
said
done with this.
ninja one more time.
Hey, listen. The ring can mean ninja.
Another word for the ring is ninja.
Ringer. No, I'm just okay. Sorry. Yeah. So Rachel and Noah, they see the well. There she is. Let's rip this thing open. TV falls. She's in the well. She sees Samara's body and she's like holding the body. Samara uses her ability to show Rachel that Anna attempted to smother her with a Glade garbage bag. Okay, I added that just for fun.
It was Glade.
It was Glade.
Not the scented one. Either.
It was
just the
black.
heavy
It was a
duty
black trash
black
bag.
ones.
Yeah.
It wasn't the scented Flex Fit. It was just the regular ass trash bag.
Yeah, it said like, oh, she attempted. It was a suck ass attempt. I mean, she like held her like for 4 seconds and then just dropped her in. I can hold kids can hold their breath for a long time. Like, what was she thinking? That's a horrible thing to say, but I'm just saying. Anyway, she attempts to smother Samara with a garbage bag in order to end the madness created by Samara's ability, dumping her body in the well afterwards. However, we see Samara's eyes open as she sinks and watches her mother close the well, and a horrified Rachel realizes Samara was still alive. Rachel notifies the authorities, and Samara, whose body rapidly decomposes in Rachel's arms after Rachel awakes from the vision, is given a proper burial, presumably putting her spirit to rest. Noah asked her, how long could you survive trapped in a well? Rachel says, 7 days. The end.
Dang, so
Man,
it
what
all
a great
full
ending.
circle.
Man, that was a great
Like a ring,
ending. Yeah.
Tony.
I
Like
love
a
it.
ring.
I love it. What do you think about that ending?
Dude, and it's proper every time, you bury the bones or find the corpse and put it to rest. That will generally solve your haunting issue. It's worked for me like 5 times.
Yes.
When I've given a proper burial to a corpse I found in the house. It cleanses the house. It just creates a good aura.
Yes.
But in this movie, it doesn't. I don't think it's going to work, man.
Do you remember in Poltergeist where they just like dug all those bodies up? No, they just like took the gravestones off and just built that whole residence on top of
Yeah, they
that.
built it over top.
Oh man,
Smart.
What a creepy movie that was. Well, how nostalgic and scary and wonderful and And whimsical was that movie.
Whimsical, how whimsical it was. That's what I think of when I
all
think
right.
of Poltergeist.
So what do we have up after this, man? Conjuring or oh, there's more.
Yeah.
I thought that was the end.
Yeah, there's more.
Oh, I'm sorry. So this is quite a surprise ending, right? So I just put out a short on our YouTube video about surprise endings and Jason from 1980 or Friday the 13th, where Jason comes out of the water and kind of brings her into the water. What a surprise ending that was. The music was very like resolute, like this is over, everything's calm, and then all of a sudden
peaceful.
and then you got these strings going tin, 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 and then Jason just like comes out of the water. Like as far as like iconic twists, what do you think about this? Because this is probably the most memorable part of the movie.
Yeah, after what's coming up with Noah. Yeah, it's really, you kind of, when we're watching it in theaters, you're expecting they're back in love. They're, the girlfriend moves out and they're back in love with each other, whatever. And then you're right. It is a good twist. It's a slow twist because it's not sudden like the Jason was or the Friday the 13th was. It's very, drawn out. And very well done. That's probably one of my favorite twists, I would say.
The girl at the beginning. It was a great kill, but at the same time, you didn't see anything. It was just like a flat. The TV came on. That was it. The TV comes on, and you see. Oh,
you
it's
so. Get to see it.
Oh, it just like you're getting the goosebumps, and you're kind of like you're starting to squirm and scream a little bit. What a wonderful scene this is. All seems well. Rachel informs Aiden that they will no longer be troubled by Samara. However, Aiden, I love this. Aiden quickly corrects her. He says that Samara's spirit has been released. He goes, "You released her." Evident by the bruises on his arm given to him by Samara and a nightmare that Rachel also experienced. Noah is going over some film prints in his apartment when his TV turns on to static in the same fashion that Rachel's niece Katie experienced before her death. Noah turns it off casually. But then the TV turns itself on again. It alerts Noah. He then is treated to a recurring image of a well in which a long-haired female figure, Samara, crawls out of the well, slowly walking towards the screen. Woo!
I'm glad they put Samara in parentheses there so we'd know who we were talking about. But I love how she comes out like hair first.
Oh,
like the hair slithers over the well.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I like not seeing her face.
Yeah. And you do at the end, but
very little
at first when you finally, she's crawling out of there.
It's wonderful. That hair. Yeah. And I remember all the girls were taking their hair and putting it over their face and doing the ring girl thing,
Were they?
Yes. You don't remember that?
All
the girls were doing it. You're like, I've been dating Jessica for 3 years at this point.
Right.
Weren't you? Pretty much.
Yeah. No, we started 3 years. Yeah. 2.
So how does Aiden feel about what his mom has done?
And this is, we didn't talk about it, but this is PG-13.
That's nuts.
It's crazy to me that this is PG-13.
Yeah.
I don't know if it doesn't really deserve an R though,
No, I don't think. I don't think so. Like, again, some of those movies from the 80s before the PG-13 came out, you're like, man, if this came out today, it'd be rated R or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, but this is PG-13. Right. He just did such a good job with this film. This is another reason I gave it a perfect score. I just think it's a great film, building suspense. The scary elements are so well done. You didn't need a bunch of gore, for that. Even though I love gore. Evil Dead is probably my all-time favorite movie, but I love gore. I love special effects. But I just think I love how they did it. Mm-hmm. It intensifies as Noah quickly backs away. Samara literally crawls out of the freaking television set. It says freaking right there. Noah knocks over a shelf in fear. He crawls away before turning around only to have Samara stare directly at him, causing his inevitable death, which Rachel discovers after racing to his apartment. She realizes that the only way to escape Samara after watching the video is to make a copy of the tape and show it to someone else, thus continuing the cycle. Rachel makes a copy to show Noah, or made a copy to show Noah, and Noah made no copies. The movie ends with Rachel helping Aiden to make a copy of the tape.
Yeah. And he's like, what happens to the person who watches it?
And she's like,
I don't really care.
do you want to go to Burger King?
We're going to give this out on our next kids meal like we used to do with the Ninja Turtle tape.
What's going to happen to the next people that watch this? What do you think about a Happy Meal, Aiden?
Let's go visit Uncle Noah and we'll show you what happens to the next person.
His face was so crazy.
His face. And hey, there you go. No good ending in horror, or at least this ending shows the good guys having to help the evil guys by spreading the message.
Absolutely. You know me. You cannot have so far, I've never seen a perfect horror movie that ends on a good note. You gotta have a uneasy ending. Think of Halloween, Michael Myers. I shot him 6 times. You know, he was missing, and it's showing. And it's showing the shots around. Like, where is he? Is he in the stair? Is he on the stairs? Is he over at this house? Is he over here? Ooh, yeah. And then it's uneasy. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
You should walk away like this is messed up, with a messed up feeling. That's what horror does.
Yeah, very true.
That's good. Any final thoughts on this movie?
No, man. I mean, you're right. It is a great, one of the top horror movies. It's it's really stayed with us. It's really nostalgic, at least for us. And if you have not seen it, it is definitely worth a watch. If you are a horror fan, you've probably already seen it.
Yeah.
But go ahead and watch it again, man. Just go relive it and just remember how good it was. And it's just really a fantastic watch.
Gore Verbinski. It's basically his directorial debut. This is like really put him on the map, and he would go on to do the Pirates of the Caribbean. He would do a lot of just a very excellent director that really put, you can tell when you watch this that a lot of care has went into this, and it's wonderful. Stay tuned. We got Conjuring coming up, man.
Conjuring and The Shining after that.
The Shining.
So stay tuned, everybody.
And then we'll get those out.
A lot of good stuff.
And then we got Halloween coming up soon too, here in a couple of months. So that'll be fun. All right. Thanks for listening, guys.
Stay tuned.